I knew how much you love the Beatles. I mean, you've said
Big
it
fan.
repeatedly,
Big
or
fan.
depending on
What
who
can
you
I
attribute.
say? I love their work.
Yes, an epic band. So the question here is, can the 49ers get by without a little help from their friends? If you're familiar with the Beatles song or Joe Cocker, you'll know
I
what
like
I'm
the Joe
talking
Cocker
about there.
version
Yeah,
because of
me
Wonder
too.
Years.
Joe Cocker version is classic,
Yeah.
especially the live one from Woodstock. If you're a young 49er fan, go check it out. So to this point, it's fair to say that the 49ers have gotten little to no production from their first overall draft picks. Would you agree?
First four. Yes. And they
Yeah.
are Trey Lance, Aaron Banks, Trey Sermon, Ambry Thomas. Yes.
Yes. This year's first four draft picks, and
Actually,
you
the
could
next one
argue
is
next
Jalen
year's
Moore,
first.
who hasn't
And
played either. So that's five.
it's tough. It's painful. It's painful. It hurts me to hear it. So really, it got me thinking, why do the 49ers not trust their young rookies, and can they win without them? Obviously, we have a couple of overperformers later in the draft, right, that have stepped in, but there's this odd usage of rookies. So my first question to you is Kyle Shanahan stubborn in his use of rookies? Is he old school in that fact?
No, I don't think so. I would use the word inconsistent. He played Mike McGlinchey.
Interesting.
McGlinchey started as a rookie. Nick Bosa started as a rookie. Debo Samuel started as a rookie. Fred Warner started as a rookie. He's had Dante Pettis started as a rookie. Brandon Ayuk started as a rookie just last year. This is all new. I would use the word inconsistent, and that's what makes it so intriguing. It's really hard to follow Kyle Shanahan's logic or find a pattern here. It almost feels out of character.
It does, and it is hard to track. It feels to me as an odd example of most coaches, when you're talking about high round draft picks, most coaches are going to let them visibly fail on the field, right?
Yeah, most coaches are wanted those players. Most
That's right.
coaches advocated for them to be they're all in. They've bought in. Usually when all the top picks aren't playing, I start getting suspicious. And we'll talk about my theory as to what's going on, because this is very suspicious. It's like, did you not want any of these guys? I mean, I thought you had final say over the offensive players, but right now it's almost like you're surprised that you got these guys, and you're like, well, none of these guys can help me. Jim Harbaugh used to do that with Trent Baalke, and those two had very little overlap in their work. I mean, I think Harbaugh felt you just gave me these guys without asking about scheme fit. I mean, I don't have to play them. I don't have to make you look good. And we always thought that Lynch and Shanahan had a much closer relationship. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, you're right on to what I was going to key in on, which is with Baalke and Harbaugh, it fit. It looked like there was animosity there. There was a tenseness in the conversations, in the dialogues. And you could tell that there was a certain unrest in the house. And so when you started to see it materialize in not playing the draft picks, it fit the scenario. But you just described the quandary that all 49ers fans have to go through at this moment in time, which is the seeming reality that there's a good relationship there, that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are on the same page when they talk about what they want from specific position groups or from a draft pick. It seems to be aligned, and yet at this point, there's visual evidence that contradicts that.
Look, I bet they do like each other. I'm sure they spend time together socially. See that they socialize with their wives and Jed, and I see them at practice. They always are standing next to each other, smiling, talking. I bet they do like each other, but it's a very cutthroat business.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys all have their dream jobs and they make tons of money. And let's say they felt that they were on the hot seat this year, and if they missed the playoffs, one of them could get fired. Well, from everything I've ever seen in the NFL, people protect themselves. It is a survivalist league. And even with your friends, if it came down to it, hey man, it's me or you. It's me or you. And it's not down to it yet. They're freaking 2-1. They could be 3-1. They could be 4-1. But people prepare for these outcomes, and they don't just wait until they're 2-5 to start getting their story out there, because then you could be out of luck. So It just seems to me that I've seen this before, and it feels like both guys are kind of preparing their defense.
That is key in strategic planning. You have to get ahead of the story. You can't wait until you're behind it, and then it looks like you're making excuses. You have to set it up just in case things go badly, and then you can shift to your narrative because you've already planted seeds for it.
Right, because Kyle Shanahan hasn't come out and said these first 4 draft picks are trash.
No,
He's just not playing them.
that's right.
And, if they go 15-2 this year, he could say, well, we were a great team and they weren't quite ready. And I like them. And we're taking it slow and everything's great. Everything's hunky dory. But if they go 6-11 this year, Kyle privately at the end of the season, if Jed York calls in a meeting and says, Kyle, tell me why I shouldn't fire you. Tell me why I should fire John instead of you. Kyle could say, well, I didn't ask for Trey Lance. I didn't ask for Trey Sermon. I didn't want Aaron Banks. I didn't want Ambry Thomas. Look at his draft record. But then John can come back and say, well, but you also didn't want Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady. I mean, it's hard to keep up with what you do and don't want. I do the best I can. I tried to get you to look at Mahomes and you were like, no, I got my own plan. You and your coaching staff vetoed the greatest quarterback of all time. How can I be held responsible for this, Jed? So I think it's very interesting what's happening here. And again, they're 2-1. It may never come down to this stuff, but you can already see the moves that would need to be played by both sides.
I like the idea of picturing the conversation around Mahomes. Should we look into Patrick Mahomes? No, don't bother. No. We've got Kirk Cousins on the horizon.
Yeah,
don't you worry.
I got a plan.
Yeah.
That's a very good trump card. I think everyone feels that if this season goes wrong, Lynch is the one who gets scapegoated. But he's got some powerful things he can play. Really. So it's my fault that we don't have Tom Brady on this team. Jed, you know that's not true. You know I wanted him. You know I wanted Patrick Mahomes. What's up with that? Theoretically, he could say things like that.
He could, and don't underestimate the power of the gold jacket either. He just donned that thing. There is a lot of charisma that comes from wearing that gold jacket and a lot of bravado that comes with it as well. I can imagine that would impress Jed in sitting. I'm sure he'd wear the gold jacket when going to see Jed at the end of the year, just to remind him.
He just is very professional, and he can make himself look good. I mean, to me, the way I look at it is, Kyle wanted Mac Jones. John Lynch wanted Trey Lance. John Lynch won.
Yeah.
He's just very good at making his case. So I'm curious. Everyone's writing off John Lynch here. I'm not saying that's the right call, but I wouldn't write this off. So you're discounting John Lynch's savviness here.
Yeah, I think that's fair to bring up. I would say I'm on the side of believing John's on the hotter seat of the two. No question.
I'm with you. I just think that to bring it back to the beginning of this topic, the not playing the first 4 draft picks is just so blatantly obvious. I'm sorry.
It is. So that brings us to the second part of this, which is the question of, are the 49ers deep enough to win without contributions from this group? Thoughts?
I mean, a Super Bowl? No, absolutely not. To me, a team that to win the Super Bowl, you have to have a great team and you have to knock out your draft picks and free agency. You can't just whiff on. Now, this is kind of similar. In 2012, the Niners drafted A.J. Jenkins and went to the Super Bowl and lost. So maybe. But they didn't get many contributions from their rookies. They got a little from LaMichael James, but that was it. Probably not, Rob. But probably not.
I mean, a lot of things can go right in an NFL season. So it's such a small sample size. These aren't best of 7 series in the playoffs. They're one and done. Anything can happen on any given Sunday. But I think when you're playing the percentages, I'm with you that if you're not getting contributions from the first 4, it's going to be really, really difficult for things to break your way.
And it's a long season. You can get them involved later on, but you probably should.
Yes.
S. Thompson says, this is the most underrated show on the Cohn rotation. Love Rob's silky radio voice. So do I.
Cheers to you, my friend.
Yeah, you have a hell of a camera too, like the way that it refocuses. Lynch could also say, well, how would we know if he's ready when you never gave him a chance to play, Kyle? Good point.
That's part of the point, right? We just don't know about the vast majority. My point was Sermon in particular. With a rookie running back, it's really hard to tell what they have in preseason, in practices. You need to see the live bullets. You need to see them out there on the field in real action, real games. And to this point, we just haven't seen it. Even last week, where you thought it was going to be a heavy dose of Sermon, we just needed to initially dive into the bag of tricks because Kyle Shanahan didn't trust our typical run game with Sermon behind the line. And that's a 3rd-round draft pick spent on a running back. That's crazy.
Yeah. And you got a right guard who's getting blown into the backfield and a 2nd-round pick at right guard who can't get on the field.
It boggles the mind, right? It'd be one thing if you saw them on the field with your own eyes and watched them struggle, but to not even give them the chance is the strange portion of this.
Mayoko's article only mentions coaching staff, not Lynch. Coincidence? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. See, to me, my best guess, I'm wondering, it seems to me that Kyle Shanahan burned a lot of his bridges in the media. And if he wants to get his side of the story out, he's got to do it without the media. Harbaugh was the same way. Harbaugh didn't talk to the media. He just didn't play Balky's guys. Message sent.
He sent
message sent. It's his fault. Kyle could be doing the same thing right now. And if that's the case, I would imagine Lynch is noticing it. Oh, he's putting me right on the chopping block. So it's going to be my fault because I got him 4 picks he's not using. Okay, well, I got to get my story out there.
He set me up.
Yeah.
He set me up. So this is the last question I want to throw out here on this topic. It seems to me that it is actually harder for the players that he has high expectations of. Do you see a trend that the ones that we're trading up for, it's harder for them to crack into the rotation?
No, again, like they traded up for Ayuk and he started last year. They traded up for Pettis and he started initially. I think what we're seeing, what's so weird about this season, that there's no rhyme or reason with what's going on. Ayuk didn't play at all the first 2 games and then he's in. Like what was that? And I think what's so strange about Kyle right now is he's erratic. It's hard to explain where he's going, how he's making the decisions he's making. In the past, I think a smart football people felt they could keep up with his decisions. And now I think everyone's lost. It's like, okay, are you purposely keeping us in the dark? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's fair to wonder, oftentimes when you see erratic behavior that's unpredictable, that comes from some feeling of pressure, some feeling of needing to do more than you can at that moment, and then acting desperately.
Yeah. I think the desperation probably comes from the fact that he feels if he doesn't make the playoffs this year, he could be out of a job.
It's about to get real.
And his job is now dependent on 2 quarterbacks he doesn't want.
Yep. I would say my observation is that for the people they trade up for, it is harder because even those 2 you mentioned, Pettis and Ayuk, they eventually got to a point where they had to be sent a message, right? They had to go to the doghouse.
That's true.
And this year, it just seems that those players that we were all so excited about because it seemed the 49ers were so excited about them are now an afterthought. It's just crazy to me. It's wild.
Yeah. Hard to say. All right. It's almost like he saves up for a new toy and gets it and is more disappointed because he spent more for it.
Yeah.
So
or he's so afraid he's gonna scratch the new car that he puts in the garage. He's like, I can't. I don't want to take it out and get a door
on it now. I don't
like
it anymore. Yeah. I used to like it, but now it has 1 scratch on it, and it's just
it's flawed.
It's gonna get a new car.